Hey guys, we don't have too much going on today, so we're going to talk about how we feed, what we use to feed, and our feedlot setup as well. There's many different ways of feeding that people utilize around the US and the rest of the world. And so I've gotten a lot of comments and questions about why we do it this way and kind of how we do it. Since there's not too much going on, we're going to talk about it. So the first thing we'll come into is our silage bunker. We put this up about 6 or 7 years ago. It's all poured. I actually helped build this. It was during the summer, right before I started high school. And I was just coming to check on how it was going when the fellow was building it, and he asked if I wanted to help out. So he paid me a little bit of money and gave me something to do for a while in between practice and getting ready for school. And so I actually got to help build this. Say it's about 40 feet by probably 80 feet, 40 feet by 80 feet. For the past about 7 years, we've been putting silage in here. We filled it probably 3 or 4 times now. It usually lasts a year or two when we fill it. Silage is a pretty big ingredient for us in our ration, and many people use corn silage, but we use sorghum silage because the seed for sorghum is a lot cheaper. We actually have a feed guy that comes in, tests it, and that way we know how much protein we got to add and how much of each ingredient we need. And so around the time we were putting this bunker in, we actually also concreted a big space right here. You can't really tell because there's hay and mud and some snow, but this big concrete pad basically extends from the corner here, goes about to the corner of that hay pile, and then hops in over to that other bunker, which we will head to next. We concreted this all out because it's just, we have really muddy springs, even muddy falls. And before we had this bunker, Dad was about getting stuck every time he was going to grab silage because we didn't have that concrete underneath, and it would just get wet and that silage would just hold moisture and it'd be really tough. Our next ingredient is ground corn. For this, we bought preformed walls, and they were actually used railroad ties to hold them up, and poured concrete underneath it, of course. And so every year we grind corn, and we use all the corn in this pit every year. And so this is kind of what it looks like. This year we used a corn cracker made by Lankota, which they are out of Huron, which is just about 45 minutes north of here. And so that worked pretty well. We got it all cracked. It took about 1.5 days to fill this pit. Now, many of you probably wonder why we crack it, why we don't just use whole corn. Or it's also possible that you guys don't use corn in your area. You might have distillers. But you can see we do put plastic over top of it and these tires to hold it down. That way rain doesn't get into it. You can kind of see there's a crown in it. That way the water can run off to the sides. And, you know, it kind of seeps along the sides, which isn't the best. But we keep the vast majority of this corn up to good quality. Now in this pit, we have about 8,000 bushels of corn that's cracked in here. And so this lasts us all of winter and gets us into the summer even. And then after that, we just start taking corn out of the grain bin and dumping about a semi-load at a time in here and just using that. We grind the corn for a couple reasons. Number one is that it allows the bacteria to work in there good, bring the pH down, and then it keeps bad bacteria and fungi from growing. And it's very accessible. You know, we just keep tearing back the plastic as we work back and feed the cattle every day. And I'm gonna get a lot of comments and questions saying, why do you do it that way? And us farmers, we think about everything. It's all about efficiency and low cost and high quality. And so for every situation we got going on over here and strategy that we use, there's probably a better way that can be done. But for us, this is the most efficient and least costly for us to do it. So now that we've talked about our ground corn, and earlier we talked about our silage, we're going to talk about our hay pile. During the entire summer, we're putting up hay, alfalfa, and grass, and we get usually 3 cuttings of alfalfa, sometimes 4. And almost always we only do 1 cutting of grass, but this year it was so wet we got 2 cuttings of grass. And so what we do here is we mix our grass and our alfalfa in the grinder and shoot it out. Now you can probably see there's a little bit of loss, you know, it's sprinkled everywhere, and that's just how it is sometimes. You can't really tell, but it's about right here to the edge of the concrete and then shoots back over there. And so this is about half on the concrete, half off. Once we start taking enough of the silage out of the pit and we have enough room, we do start grinding in the pit. That way there's less wind and there's more concrete that it can stay on. So we've talked about our three main ingredients of our ration: corn, silage, ground hay. So now we're gonna hop into our commodity shed and talk about what we have in here. Number one is a protein pellet. This wagon never moves. The truck comes in and fills it up. And so what this is a protein pellet. It supplements them, gives them enough protein in the rumen. That way they can break down the hay and keep them healthy, keep them digesting well. In addition to that, we also have mineral. We got bags of mineral sitting across in our commodity shed. You can see there's wood, like 2x12 sitting around here. We used to put our corn in here, but then once we built that wet corn pit outside, we started just doing that and putting it in the pit out there. We got our protein, we got our mineral, we got our three other main ingredients. And then in this stall, since we don't put corn in it anymore, this is where our feed wagon tractor sits. And we're gonna talk about our equipment in a minute. But on the other side is more storage. Right now we have this wagon, which has our Dakota Gold pellets in it. And I'm grabbing from there every day and hand feeding all the critters around here, trying to tame them down. We also have this short conveyor. We use that when we're fertilizing in the spring. Just helps bring the fertilizer from the semi into another conveyor that runs it up into our fertilizer spreader. We have our big snow blower. We got our 3-point sprayer here. And so this other side usually just gets used for storage. And now we're gonna start talking about our equipment. And after that, we're gonna go to each individual pen and talk about what the pens are used for, how big they are, how many head we put in each of them, and basically water and how all that works. So this tractor, well, both these tractors get run every day, 365 days of the year. This one we bought used, I don't know how long ago. It's not too old of a tractor. It's a 6125R. It runs nice. For some reason, we're having a problem with the radio, which stinks. But like I said, it gets run every day. And hooked to it, we have a 340 Farm Aid feed wagon. It's got this nice reel in it, mixing the feed. This feed wagon we bought in 2003, and so it's 2020 now. 2003, 17 years. That can't be right. That's an old feed wagon. But we've had this for quite a while, and one thing cool about that is it was built in South Dakota. The company that makes Farm Aid, I think, is out of Corsica, South Dakota. It's either Corsica or Stickney, but it's just about 40 minutes southwest of here. It's pretty cool that we get to use a product that was made here in South Dakota, and it's pretty local. And then we come to our 6155R. It also gets used every day, more than our feed wagon, because it's got to do a bunch of other jobs other than just pulling the feed wagon around. And we've had this tractor probably 4 years, I think, and it's been pretty good for us. Looked yesterday, this tractor's got 3,200 hours on it. Like I said, it was used. We bought that one new. It's probably got 1,600 hours on it. Talked about our equipment, everything that goes into the ration, our commodity shed, and now we're gonna head over and start talking about each individual lot. And we're gonna first start with our bull lot up front. I forgot the side-by-side. Well, I guess I drove the tractor out here, but gonna walk around a bit. So this first lot, which is up towards the front of the yard, is our bull lot. I haven't talked about it much, but we sell purebred Black Angus Bulls to local beef producers in the area. So here we have 180 foot of bunk line, and you know, usually we just put all the bulls that we have raised in that year in this lot, and it usually comes out to be anywhere from 60 to 80. Some years are weird. Since this lot is towards the front of the yard and we have a lot of people come through here, we put a fancier bunk line in here, and it doesn't hold as much volume, but it looks a little fancier. It holds the feed it needs to, but if you go too slow and the feed comes out too fast, it will overflow a little bit. So that's just something you got to be careful about. And for water, we got this water drinker right here, and it's really nice because it doesn't freeze up very often. We don't have to deal with it, you know, when it's cold. Just punch the balls, make sure it's not froze, and it's still spitting out water for the cattle. In one of my last two videos, it was a cold day and that did freeze up. It was really windy, and we showed how we thaw it, which is pretty cool. We take our skid loader back up to it and we attach a hose to the back of the exhaust and put it down in the water, and it'll heat up the valve in there. So if you want to see that, check that video out. I'll put it here, and if it's not right here, I forgot. So sorry about that. So this next lot we call our middle lot. We have 160 foot of bunk line here. In every bunk line we have about 8 foot of concrete running on the back side of them. That way, when a lot of poo gets built up or snow, we have enough room that we can drive the loader down it with the bucket and push all that off, or put it in a manure spreader. So this lot that we call the middle lot, it's called that because it's in the middle of our 3 main lots, and most of the time it's used for our heifers or just some feeder cattle. Right now, as you can see, we have cows. They've been getting the Dakota Gold pellets, and so they're all coming up to me because they want some nice pellets. But holy cow, that's a big one. You are a big girl. Yeah, come here. Look at you. You're like a pig. Oink. Right now you can see there's cows in it, and they're in here because we needed somewhere to feed them. They're supposed to be out in corn stalks, but last week we got about 12 inches of snow, and they just can't find the corn. Oh, jeez. And they just can't find the corn or the leaves down in that deep of snow. They keep smelling the ground, hoping I give them some pellets, and I probably will later today. But now we're coming over to where they drink water from. They have this water tank, and it's been warm today, and you can see there's water all the way around here. About 2 inches down, it's frozen solid, so it's not too big of a deal. Looks like they're getting low on water, and so I'll turn that back on. And right across the fence from them, we have our first year replacement heifers. They're gonna be calving starting in February, and they'll be calving for about 3 months. And they've been getting the pellets too, and they're pretty excited about them. And right now they've been in this cornfield right next to all of our feedlots. But like I said, it snowed, and so we've been feeding them. We've been feeding them even before it snowed, but we've had to up the ration since they're not able to get at any of the corn or the leaves. There's about 40 of them in there. Now we're gonna head to what we call the north lot. And in this lot, we have either our heifers, our young heifers, or feeder cattle. It usually switches between this pen and that pen, just depending on who we had to work and bring up to the front. It doesn't matter what pen they're in. It just kind of depends on how it worked out that year. This is our north pen. We got some windbreaks out in it, just like the middle pen. And it's 150 foot long. I think that last one was 160. And so this one's just one section of bunk shorter. The middle pen and the north pen both have this one. It's a high capacity bunk, and it works great unless it snows, and then it fills up with even more snow than that south one. And it looks like these guys are getting low on water too, so I will flip that on. But this pen we built probably 3 years ago, along with that bunk line, and those were the most recent ones that we put up. So there wasn't really much to say about that north lot, other than the northeast corner fills with water pretty good, and we actually got stuck with a tractor last week right before it snowed because it hadn't froze up yet completely. So from the north lot we come over west, and this is our west feed lot, and it's about 70 foot of bunk line. And this lot is mostly used for our cows that have just calved and they're old enough that they don't need to be in the building anymore. So usually those heifers that are about to calve in about 2 months, they'll start moving into here after they have calves. And it's really nice because there's trees all around it, good protection for the newborn calves and the cows. And also we got 2 windbreaks and 2 buildings out there for the calves. As I'm walking over to the side-by-side, if you noticed, we got the new Sonne Farms merch, and that's in the link below if you want to check that out. We got hats, sweatshirts, and shirts, and also stickers. I about guarantee you I'm gonna forget those waters are running, and they're gonna run over. I somehow forgot to mention this lot, even though it's right next to the bull lot. But we have this nice little pen here. We usually have 2 feeders in it, and also some feed bunks that we can put in here. And what we do with this, those replacement heifers that are out on the corn stalks right now, once they get even closer to calving, they'll be put in this pen. That way we can get them up to the barn. So we got 2 places to talk about left, and the second to last one is this pen. And we call it the triangle pen because it's somewhat shaped like a triangle, not like perfectly. Or we also call it the pen by the white building, even though it's kind of faded and it's not that white anymore. But with this pen we use to wean calves, or if we just run out of place in the lots, we put a few in here. And we got a bale feeder that we give them. And there's also one of those bunks over there, and we've been bringing buckets of corn out here to give them a little grain and help grow them up a little bit. Right now there's 33 head in here, and there's a water tank right there. And that water tank provides water for this pen and also this 17-acre field right here, which we use to calve the majority of our cows out. In a couple months, we'll start bringing all the cows home. And you can see there's a bunk line right there of bottomless bunks, and we can move those bunks around and we feed all of our cows in there. I hope this answered any of your questions that you had about how we feed. But if you have any more or just want to say what's up, feel free to comment below, like this video, hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Is that for me? Thanks.